Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museum will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Criss said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation. MisFitNation. The MisFitNation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, Share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome to the 400th episode of the Misfit Nation. It's not because of me, it's because of you. Everyone out there who jumps on Sundays, on Tuesdays, on Thursdays, on their favorite podcast apps and gives us those likes and subscribes to our show and tells us how we're doing and who to bring on. This has been a great journey these 4 years. I can't wait to see what the next 4 are going to bring us. As you know, this year we started our new show on Tuesday nights, the Tuesday Crew, hosted by my brother Steve and Jake. They're doing great things there. RJ is co-hosted with me. Our early guest, George Herrera, RJ, Criss Wamhoff, Chantel Cummings, doing great things. Just got accepted into her doctorate program. Big kudos to her. I know she's going to do great things down there. Tonight, we keep that momentum alive. Our next guest is a trailblazer. She's defied the odds to achieve extraordinary success. She was born and raised in Alexandria, Virginia, embarked on a journey that led her to become a U.S. Army Medical Service Corps officer, and now she's a veteran. She earned her Bachelor of Science from St. Augustine's College and a Master of Arts from the University of North Carolina, Pembroke. She's a dedicated mother, a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, Pinkies Up sorority, and a recipient of numerous military awards and decorations. With a dynamic career spanning various leadership roles, she is currently a senior federal civil servant and the CEO of Resourcefully, Criss, LLC. She is passionate about empowering others, sharing her insights as a speaker, coach, and author. She elevates women and veterans to their next level of career and life. So without further ado, let's welcome U.S. Army veteran, speaker, coach, and author, Crystal Tramack. Welcome, Crystal.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you here, fellow veteran. It's awesome to have a veteran on my 400 show and an Army veteran at that. So thank you.
Congratulations on your 400th show.
Thank you. Crystal, I just gave you your basically 3-sentence lead in on you. I gave you the little pinkies up for all of my AKA sisters out there and for you, of course. Tell us a little more about you, about that journey through the Army from Alexandria, Virginia, and how we got to where we are today.
Well, so one of the things that normally stands out is that I joined the Army out of boredom. So I remember someone asking me to come over to ROTC when I was in college, and I was like, no, thank you. I was on a full track and field scholarship, and that was the furthest thing from my mind. Now I graduated from college, and I make the joke that my parents are enablers. They would have let me stay with them forever and never pay a bill. I'm an only child. So I was like, this is not going to work. The fastest way out of here is to join the military because, of course, I get to put money in my pocket. I love not having college debt. So that was an opportunity for me to continue with advanced schooling and letting the military pay for it, getting some work experience, and, of course, just getting away. So, I got a roof and money in my pocket, food in my stomach and all the rest of that stuff. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. So I make the joke about my good idea fairy. She tells me to do a lot of things that sometimes don't always seem like such a good idea when I get into it. I'm like, why did I do this? But That's how I ended up in the military. I only wanted to do the shortest amount of time possible. But as you and I both know, those jobs that they're offering for the shortest amount of time possible aren't normally the most appealing. So I had to sacrifice and say, I'm going to do 4 years. So then I said, I'm doing 4 years and I'm getting out. And then I got in and realized, man, I'm really doing a lot of things and I'm doing pretty well with this. And so it's not as hard as it seemed like it would be as far as progressing along. And I was like, why not stay? And then you get hit with that. If you're going to do 10 years, you might as well stay, or you got to make the decision to go. So that is how I got here today, what led me on my journey. And then, of course, there were a lot of turns and great things that happened along the way, but there were also some challenges that happened along the way. And so that led me to where I am today.
Awesome. You speak very fast. It's awesome. Well, did you choose medical service corps officer, or was that kind of you had they said, pick these three, this is the one that stood out to you?
So I actually enlisted. I was a combat medic.
Okay.
Of course, that's not the way the recruiter put that to me. So I was a healthcare specialist or a medical specialist. And then when I got to AIT, to Advanced Individual Training, and they said, welcome to the combat medic course, I'm like,
What?
That sounds real G.I. Joe-ish. And I was like, that wasn't what I signed up for. So once I left there, my first assignment was Fort Drum, New York.
Ooh.
So unless you are an outdoors person and you love cold weather, you will not be a fan. So I decided that recruiting was my fastest way out of Fort Drum, and I volunteered to be a corporal recruiter. So I went in, I did a lateral promotion from E4 specialist to E4 corporal, became a recruiter. Someone said I did a good job. I don't know who this person was to this day, made a recommendation for me to go over to medical recruiting. And while I was there, I qualified to be for a direct commission. So I recruited myself to commission into medical service corps.
Wow. Did you get credit for that? So you get your badge?
So what I did get a badge. I did not get it for that. But what I did with that was I recruited myself. I completed the packet. And then my battle buddy whose mission it was, I said, sign your name to this packet so you can get credit. Our station gets credit and I get to commission.
Outstanding. That's a good journey right there. I know I've met a few people that have joined to do the combat medic thing for basic AIT, and they go right into OCS and then the career path you went on without going to Fort Drum. So you got to go skiing and then do it. So it's a different path.
Yes.
Where was your favorite station along the way? I know Fort Drum was not it. So what was it?
Fort Drum, you're right. That was not it. I really enjoyed Germany. And so I went there with my family, and I thought that because Germany was such a great assignment that I could definitely do Korea by myself. And I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Yeah, totally different world than Germany. I appreciate the opportunity that I had there. And so one of the blessings for me is that one of my friends that I commissioned with, that I went to the officer basic course with, actually went with me to Korea. So we were there together. So I had my battle buddy that I commissioned with. I had my sorority, of course, and my church family. And so that really did help me get through that year away from my family. So I am grateful for that. But I wasn't in a bad spot. I was in Seoul, in all fairness, but it was just a very different environment than Germany. But I did really like Germany.
Awesome. I loved Korea. I was in Korea 3 times, Germany for 8 hours during my active duty time because my plane broke down. So I got stuck there for 8 hours. Korea 3 times, third time in Seoul. I lived down in Hanamdong, right down from Yongsan there.
Okay.
We had a blast. I had my family with me that time. The first 2 times I was just, typical Joe, just drinking and doing what Joe does. And the third time was family and tour guide Barbie kind of stuff, going all over Korea. So I had a blast.
Nice.
In Germany, where were you stationed there?
We were in Mannheim, Germany. So we actually were in Mannheim, but we lived in between Kaiserslautern and Mannheim. And so we lived in a community where they had the largest wine festival in Bad Dürkheim. So it was a very, very beautiful community. We were the first ones to live in a house. It was just newly built. So people, most of the time when we went to the grocery store, they would think that we were just visiting. And I'm like, nope, we actually live here. And they're like, you guys. So it was about 45 minutes from Mannheim on the Autobahn, which would be about an hour and a half in the United States at a minimum.
Yes. Oh, that's without that, like where you are right now, without the beautiful 95 traffic.
Exactly.
Any of the 95s. So.
All right.
Tell the audience a little bit what the medical service corps actually is, medical service corps officer, as opposed to a doctor or nurse or something like that.
So the medical service corps medical service corps officers actually provide all the administrative support along to the military medicine. So anything that comes to your hospital administrator, your human resources, your IT, your comptroller. So those are dealing with financing, logistics, your patient administration, every single thing that the rest of the world, or I would say the rest of the military has, the medical service, the medical specialties within the military family has their own support system. So we don't necessarily go outside to have anyone else support the medical department. So that is what it is. So I've done patient administration, I've done logistics, I've done hospital administration and human resources as well.
And a lot of the medical service corps officers wind up being the leadership of a lot of medical units, don't they?
Yes, yes. So I've been a company commander and I've also been the chief of military personnel a couple of times. And just being the section OIC of some different departments and things like that as well. Yes.
A lot of people, I guess, a lot of people don't understand. There's two different paths for the medical corps, and one's kind of a leadership, one's kind of the technical side or the doctor side,
Yes.
medical side. So
Mhm.
I just want to clear that up for everyone that's listening. After you got out, I know you're a federal civil servant. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about what your job is. Are you in the same field, or what do you do now?
Yeah, so I actually was one of the ones that got caught in the downsizing. So essentially the Army laid me off about 4.5 years earlier
wow.
in my retirement. Yeah. And with the same packet that I was actually selected to go to school for my second master's degree in a fully funded program, that's the same packet I was separated with.
Oh,
And
wow.
then the same packet I was looked at for my first look for promotion to the next grade. So
Wow.
yeah, it was quite a busy full 6 months of my last year in the Army. And so it was definitely a challenge for me. But when I got out, I actually transitioned. It took me a little bit of time to get into the federal government because as if that was not enough, the government went into a hiring freeze the day that I retired. And it was winter.
Oh,
So
wow.
I did a few other things before I actually went into the government. But yes, being a civil servant employee, I am supporting military medicine the same way. So I have supported in the aspect of being under all Navy leadership when I was still in uniform, and supporting the Army, of course, and then now supporting the Air Force.
Oh, wow. So
Yes.
all you need is the Marines now, and you have
Right.
all, maybe Space Force, I guess, if they do anything with medical, I don't know. But
They do, and I've been
yeah.
seeing some emails come to me asking me if I want to apply for, like, if I want to take the interviews for some Space Force opportunities. So yeah.
You got your master's from North Carolina, Pembroke. Was that your first or second master's? Because you just said
So
you got your second.
That's my first master's. The second one did not happen because I was supposed to start school that following year. And so I'm actually currently in my doctorate program. And
Nice.
so instead of going back for another master's, since I'm using my military benefits and no longer in service, I'm going after the doctorate degree. So yes.
Smart move.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm also going for my doctorate right now through Liberty, in the battle of my dissertation right now. So it's a fun time. Lots of no sleep. It's great.
Congratulations. Yes,
Thank
I got
you.
accepted to them as well, but I ended up going to another school in Virginia. That's actually in the same city. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's outstanding. So we're going to be kind of alumni next door to each other.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
That is awesome. And you also started a business, Resourcefully Criss. Tell us
Yes.
about that.
So that is my business that my coaching, speaking, and my author efforts fall underneath. And so my parents actually call me Criss, and that's a nickname they give me. And so, yeah, and we spell it differently than what most people spell it. So it's CRISS. And so
Okay.
I'm resourceful. I learned in recruiting how to do a lot of research, and that skill that I picked up from recruiting is like unmatched. And I've definitely used it to find so many different things. And so as I start to look for stuff and I start pulling back the string on stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm very resourceful. So people are like, how do you know the stuff that you know? So I do a lot of research. I do get connected, and I also try a lot of things for myself. And as I'm doing that, more things come out that I didn't know were there before. And so I named the company Resourcefully Criss.
That is outstanding. It says author. What did you author so far, or have you
Okay,
written?
so
Are you still trying?
yeah, so I wrote She Needs to Move Something to Live. And so that book shares about my fitness journey. And so believe it or not, fitness is really connected to how I got to where I am today. I actually ran high school track, which led me on
Nice.
to college. And then from there I joined the military. And so it is like very connected to how I made my career decisions and actually going through school and improving my grades and all the rest of those things, and like the leadership skills that I learned out there with that and the discipline I was able to carry over, and finding just all the different things that come along with that, because there's so many different things with that. So the first book is She Needs to Move Something to Live. And then it gives some tips about how to do some different things where people get a little intimidated about getting physically active. And so I actually am a co-author in another book where I am a Amazon bestseller.
All right.
And that is talking about some different resiliency challenges that women leaders have gone through and how we've come out on the other side of it. And then my final book will be coming out soon. It is on pre-order now. And that is not my final, but my final at this time. Yes. Final at this time is landing a six-figure federal job, landing a six-figure federal career, the blueprint to landing your dream job. And so that is actually on pre-order now. And that's sharing about getting access to those federal positions, because as we know, people are a little bit intimidated or frustrated or both with the whole system. So just sharing some tips as well, and how to move through that system and strategize your way to getting the most out of it that you can.
100%. People they quit once USA jobs. They see how long the resume, how long your government resume has to be, how long the process is to apply. And then they just kind of go to the first thing that pops up outside of that. And then they forget that they even applied for the year or so it takes for them to get that call back. So it is hard. It's good to have people like yourself. And we had Tab Bartley on here a few months ago, and she works in the GS world as well. And every Friday she gives tips on how to do it on her LinkedIn. So it's pretty cool to have people helping other veterans and other people to get into the government side of it.
Yes, I actually met Tab at a Navy workshop a few months ago that we did together. So yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she's an awesome person. I had a blast with her on the show, just like I am with you right now. So I feel like I'm talking to both of you at the same time. What was the name of the second book where you were the bestseller?
Real Women, Real Problems.
Real Women, Real Problems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's also on Amazon.
I'm sure to write things down. In your speaking career, have you had big speaking engagements so far, or is it still slowly growing?
So, I mean, I've spoken for the Army, of course. I've spoken for the Air Force. And so I have also spoken for some nonprofits and also some schools, and just sharing my military journey as well. So, of course, that comes with the resiliency piece. Yeah. That comes with some endurance, some leadership that also comes out of that. And also sharing with most recently diversity, equity, inclusion. And so some of the challenges that I've experienced in the military and how it really does impact your employer's work. So you want individuals to go above and beyond, then treat them right, because they will, if you treat them right every day, most of the time, they're going to do what they need to do and then some. But when you're trying to be that person that wants to have a power struggle and I just need you to know that I'm in charge, and you're not valuing who they are as a person, then you're going to lose them and you'll get way less out of them from that. So as we know, the old saying goes, you get more bees with honey. So it's the same thing in every other environment. So treat people right.
Exactly. Treat them as you want to be treated. I think that's a saying in the Bible or something like that. Others as you want to be treated. That's the best way to live. If you want to treat people bad, they're going to treat you bad, or it's going to come back to you twofold or threefold, yes, or whatever you want to call it. You elevate women and veterans to their next level of career and life. Do you get to sit in groups of veterans and women veterans, especially? So I know women veterans need a little more camaraderie now, because there's a lot more of them now than there was as when we were in service. And through the GWAT, so many women joined the service after 9/11 and are still serving now. Do you see there's a bigger need for women groups to come together and do that camaraderie like the dudes have been doing all this time, and maybe get together with the dudes and maybe fight for better stuff for everybody?
I do believe so, because as you know, it is a whole different thing. And so we have our own unique challenges, and we do need that support, because you don't identify with the other people that haven't served necessarily. And they're saying things that you're like, yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Or no, but I'm going to get up and still push through and do these things, where you're sitting back saying, woe is me. You're sad about leaving for a weekend or a few days to go to a hotel somewhere. And we're like, no, we left our family for a year. We left our family for months. We left our family for years. And you miss big milestones stones. It's not, I just went away for the weekend and I just missed them, or I'm at work for several hours and I just missed them. So I definitely believe we have our own unique challenges there. And then the same thing with even like, let's talk about showing up to the VA.
Yes.
You know, people don't, like, they still have a hard time understanding that we've served. And so you're in the VA getting cat calls and all the rest of this foolishness. And you're just like, okay, when I go into the VA, I'm on a mission. I have a serious face. I'm like, I don't see anybody. I'm going to my appointments. And I'll even miss, like, you could be walking right by me and like, hey, Crystal, you didn't even, because I'm so focused on, I don't want to engage with anybody that's being, you know, a way that I'm not. So I see them now trying to put signs up to talk about harassment and how to treat people. You know, and at the end of the day, we know that you shouldn't have to do that at this point, but we do need that space where we can talk about some things that we experience. And, you know, I've heard things like people say, oh, well, this person didn't have this kind of experience, or they didn't deploy, so they shouldn't qualify for benefits and all the rest of this stuff, because people are just making these assumptions. But everyone's had their own service and their own experiences. And so you can't say what's happening with them physically, mentally, or otherwise, or spiritually. So
Yes.
it's everyone's experience is very unique. And so I think it's a great opportunity to get connected. And so, yes, we can get to connected on our own, but then as we build out, we can also share with you all as well and keep, you know, connected in the community. Because as you remember, when we show up into our units, someone's welcoming us in, but that's not what happens when we get out in the civilian sector. We're out here so you can go to work and go home and be a hermit.
Yeah. And never meet everyone in your office.
Yes. Yes.
And you're 100% correct. And I think I first went to the Nashville VA here when I first got out in 2015. When I walked down the hall, I thought I was walking into like zombie land, because everyone was so on so many drugs. They were just walking, didn't have any look in their eyes, were almost dead looking. But there wasn't many women in there, and I didn't understand why. But they had a whole separate clinic for women down like another mile down the road. Now they've integrated them both together. So you see the interaction between people now. And I've seen everything you just talked about. I have seen it when I go to my physical therapy appointments, and I've seen right in physical therapy, there's the poster about harassment and stuff. I said, we shouldn't have to do this. This should be all adults here who have served. This should be common sense, but it's not.
Right. And as you said, even with like knowing that, so the DC VA has a separate clinic, but it's inside the same building.
Okay.
And at the same time, it's just a matter of like, we're in that environment, but like you said, people just, it's sad to hear that people are on so many medications that they don't even get to have a personality about who they are. And it's just, it's par for the course, unfortunately. However, we are shaking things up and we are speaking up more. So any environment that I can get into, and another challenge that I, like, as you said, a lot of times women don't sign up for the VA. Right. And that's what I've noticed. A lot of women didn't even know they could sign up. And when I'm having a conversation with them, I'm like, so are you getting your benefits? Have you? And they're like, oh, I didn't know. Like, hey, have you registered for your medical care? And they're like, oh, I never thought about it. I just never figured I qualified or never went back and checked it out. And so that's a part of it too. So it's definitely important to have that word out there, because people are like, you're sparking the thought in their head that they never thought of before. And depending on who's around them, somebody else beside them may say, oh, you don't need that, and I don't want you to take advantage. But that's not taking advantage. You serve, and what's out there for you is for you.
Exactly. And I think it goes back to what you said earlier about people that tell people if you didn't do X in the military, you don't deserve to have these benefits, or you didn't do enough to get benefits. And that sticks in some people's heads. And they are either one, they believe the scuttlebutt and they don't ever get out of their own way and go to the VA. I know guys that got out in the early 80s that have never went to the VA because they didn't think they did enough to go to the VA. Yes. And now they're suffering from the things they were exposed to. As you know, early 80s, 70s, 80s, there was not as much safety and concern about life for everyone back then. And not that it's much better now, but it's a lot better now than it was then. So I think a lot of them and the women that you're just referencing, I think that's the same mindset. They don't believe they deserve it, so they don't go. So they just stay with whatever civilian medical care they have and don't worry about anything else.
And that's if they have civilian medical care. So then let's talk about, because if they're not connected to a job where they don't have to pay the extra money and they're taking a job that's low paying, that might be one of the things that is not picked up. They'll just opt not to do it. And so even some of the challenges they face, I'm like, hey, you need to go talk to someone, and it's okay to talk to someone. And there are free resources out there of things like people you can talk to. So it's definitely great. Like, I think it's very necessary to have these groups and be able to talk.
Are you involved with any of the VSOs up there in Virginia now?
So I'm not involved with any of the VSOs, but like I said, if they have any type of, when we have women's roundtables for veterans and things like that, I show up to those type of events. If if the VA's doing anything, I get connected to those calls and making sure that I'm showing up. And so that way I'm talking to different women. There are some other things out there for women in business. That there's a veterans group for that I get connected to. And so you're interacting with others, and I definitely make referrals and say, hey, check this out. So it's a big deal. It's a lot of things up there.
And I know there's a lot of organizations up where you are, because you're right by the heartbeat of everything there. So everyone tries to be right there to get whatever sponsors they can get and donors up there. So it's good to have them there, but it's also good to have people like yourself who are not connected to just one of them, but is willing to be around all of them and talk to all of them and listen to what each one has to bring to the table. Because as veterans, we think that they're all the same, but they're not. I mean, Wounded Warrior Project does X, Team RWB does a lot of health and fitness stuff. The Travis Manion Foundation gets veterans back out there to mentor and help youth, and then do some service projects outside. So everyone does different things. Team Rubicon gets you out there, get you dirty in disasters. There's all kinds of things out there for veterans, and being that outsider to just listen to what they have and tell them your perspective, that helps them more than they know.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on. You got 3 books out. One, which you say is your final one for now. And I'm sure it's not going to be your final one. You'll have a lot more. Where do you see yourself in, say, 5 years?
Oh, where I see myself in 5 years.
Or
That is a great question. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a pretty deep question, because I don't want people, so I'm going to give a little transparency. I recently did a talk. And so I wanted to talk about control. That was what I wanted to focus on in the talk, and just kind of being able to pivot and change course and still be able to come out well on the other side of it. And so I got the feedback of, when you were talking and when you were sharing your story, all I heard was winning. Like, I heard winning. So she was like, I want you to talk about all I do is win. And I was like, okay. And then she's like, most of the time people don't connect with you when you talk about winning all the time. She was like, but I want to hear more. And I feel like you can share more of that. And so, but she's like, sometimes you lose the audience when you share about winning too much. And so, yeah, we've all had challenges, but I definitely will have my, so doctor is coming real soon. That'll be within the next 6 months. So I don't have much longer on that. I'm excited to be out there in front of more people that really want to move the needle in their life. They really want to, make some challenges, some differences in their life. They're not struggling to work 2 jobs to bring in income less than they could in one position, to where they can get more quality of life back for themselves and their family. They can build a legacy, and they can also show their family what it is to have a harmony and not be overworking and having a hard time paying their bills and things like that. And so that's one of the things I want to be out there in front of more people, and I want to be connected to more individuals in that way. The other part is that I'm definitely building a legacy for my family. So of course, as you get out here and do this work, that's coming along with it. That'll allow me to step out of my civil servant position. And so I do love being a civil servant. At the same time, I need to be able to focus more on the people that really need me. And everything has its season. And so I don't see myself in that season and within the next 5 years. So I will definitely have more time to get out there speaking and sharing my story, because I am told that when I share my story, it really does resonate with others, and they do really understand the challenge. Because I mean, the layoff was a big deal. To get to 4.5 years before it's time for you to retire with no UCMJ problem, always being upper 200, upper almost 300s or above in my physical fitness test, and maxing out everything and fast tracking. To get hit with that, people are like, I don't understand how that happened to you. So, but I didn't get stuck there, and I didn't just stay and say, all right, now I'm not going to do anything else. I took what I was able to gain from the military experience and allowed that to catapult me into more. And so I'm excited to see all of it that's on the other side of it. So my zip code will probably change. That's one of the things that will happen. Not to say it's in a bad zip code now. I'm from Fairfax County, Virginia, being transparent. So if anybody knows about the DC area, I grew up here, so it's nothing new here to me. But things are building, and so many more communities are getting more and more connected. I may move a little bit further. I'm not a big Southern person, but I may move a little bit further to where people aren't naturally walking across on your grass with their dogs and not picking up behind them. So I didn't used to care about the fence, but now I do a little bit more.
That comes with age too.
Maybe so. So all the things you did not know. So so the zip code change for sure. Like I said, getting out there for more people, more partnerships, and just more opportunities to train and mentor and coach and guide others to better for themselves, because we undervalue ourselves a lot of times. And so people are really selling themselves short, and it pains me to see that, because there's so much more. They're thinking, oh, this person is so, knowing so much or doing so well. And I realized when I commissioned how much I was even doing that and didn't even realize that. And I was like, man, some of these people aren't as smart as I thought they were, or as far out of reach as what I thought they were. And so that really changed my mentality on that. And I've been going with that ever since. And so that's why I had no problem with continuing to climb the ladder and getting up there in the senior grades with the federal employment, because I see what it is. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. Everyone's going to train you anyway to their agency, to their department, their division. You just got to have an idea that you are trainable and that you're familiar with the basics of what they're asking you to do. And so how do we make that connection? And so that's where I see myself.
That's outstanding. And I think you just put out the title of your next book, or the summation of your new book, your next book after this next one, as you said, is your last one. When you got hit with that, you're getting out of the Army early. That right there should be your next book. What do you do when you don't know what to do with your hands at this point? When they stop you in your tracks. There you go. You got it right there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I will definitely, give you a shout out on that one. Thank you so much. But that's what happens when you keep moving. When you keep moving, things connect to you, and this stuff like this comes out of it. But if you're sitting still, you're going to miss it. There's nothing, you're not getting any content, you're not getting any downloads. And so you're going to miss it. But this is why we keep moving forward. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And I can't wait to buy that one. Crystal, where can people get in contact with you to either just chat with you like we are, or maybe learn more about your business, or maybe hire you to coach and mentor them?
So I am on Crystal She Speaks across all social media platforms. So that's IG, that is Facebook, that is YouTube, even Clapper, because I know some people don't know what that is, but it's a blend. It's a blend between IG and Clubhouse. And I'm also on LinkedIn at Crystal Hamlin Tramack. So my maiden name is also a part of that, but you definitely can find me. If you type in Crystal Tramack, you will find me on all the social media accounts. And I'm also on Twitter, or X now.
The X, yes. And those links are going across the bottom, and they will be in the show notes as well. So if you want to reach out, make sure you reach out to Crystal before she becomes too big with her 4th book that we just gave her the idea for. And she's doing her world book tour with that one. So Crystal, this has been awesome having you here on our 400th episode. I hope you had as much fun as we did. The audience was into it. It went by very fast. Again, thank you for taking some of your East Coast time, since it's pretty late there right now. It's 8:30 there. We're still getting into 8 here, so I'm still having some stuff to do at the house. But thank you again for being on it and for all that you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me, and congratulations again on your 400th show. And I wish you all so many more. And I wish you just the very best in everything that you do.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.